Hello, everyone. We're going to get started. It is our prep time. So I'm going to go over some of the general Whole30 guidelines, kind of talk about what we're doing, why we're doing it. I know that everyone, hopefully, has read through all of the guidelines and the rules and has a good grasp on what we're doing. I've sent quite a few people information. So hopefully we at least have like that general idea of what it is we're doing and you have your why. Whole30 is created to be like an elimination diet. So not in a sense of we're not going to eat these things because they're bad for you. That is not it at all. In fact, we're going to recreate some of that talk, that self-talk, the verbiage that we speak with. Some of us are really harsh with our language and, oh, I can't have that. That's bad for me. So we're going to remove some of those statements, words, phrases from our vocabulary. What instead we're going to focus on is eliminating foods, certain foods from our diet because they don't meet what Whole30 has created as a good food standard. So before I go into that, I'm going to back up really quick and talk about what exactly we're eliminating so we're all on the same page. I have some of my notes in my book with me as well. If you are, someone who loves to read and you prefer books over, your phone or, doing your research online and reading online, all that kind of stuff, with nothing wrong with that. But if you like to actually buy books, read them, this is it. If you want, buy it and download it on your phone, your Kindle, whatever tablet you use. But the original book is called It Starts With Food. This is kind of like the Whole30 Bible. This is like the OG right here. I love this book. Super simple, easy read. Even when they get more into like the scientific, aspect of like your anatomy, what kind of, what affects foods having on your body, what it's doing. I mean, even all of that, it's all very simple, easy read. I definitely urge you to buy it, download it on your phone, buy the book, whatever, get into it if you want. So what we are going to do, we are eliminating certain food groups. What are we eliminating? So we're eliminating any added sugars. We're going to eliminate alcohol. We are going to eliminate our grains. We're going to eliminate legumes. Legumes being our beans, peanut butter. If you're a peanut butter lover, we're not going to eat peanut butter for 30 days. But don't worry, almond butter, cashew butter, those are still on the table. So added sugars, grains, no alcohol, legumes. We're going to eliminate dairy. We are also going to avoid recreating any baked goods or junk food out of Whole30 compliant ingredients. Okay. And then we're also going to avoid the scale. So we're going to step on the scale Monday morning, and then you're going to hide it. You're going to put it away, get it out of your sight. If you are someone that is obsessed and loves the scale, this is a wonderful journey to step into. I was very, very attached to the scale. I had a routine. The scale would dictate my mood. It would dictate what kind of day I was going to have, or at least what kind of morning I was going to have. I would have to step on that scale first thing every single morning without my clothes, before I ate or drank anything, and after I went pee. And then I would step on the scale. If I was up a pound, it was like shot. The morning was just like awful. I was in a horrible mood. And I went down the rabbit hole with that. If I was down a pound or two, I was like ecstatic. Oh my gosh, it's great, So this is a really great time to separate yourself from that number because good health is not a number on a scale. So what instead we're going to focus on, which is like my favorite part of Whole30, is our NSVs, which is non-scale victories. So I'll also be uploading a PDF on that I strongly urge you to print off. Everyone will be receiving a day-by-day planner, a journal, and that has the NSVs in it as well. So use that. Or if you want, you can print it off and hang it on your fridge, whatever works for you. But we're going to be checking in with your NSVs every single week. So really focusing on how you feel opposed to what that number says. Very, very different. So those are the things that we're going to avoid and eliminate from our diet. Why? Not because they are bad. So remember, we're going to get rid of those statements, that kind of talk. We are not punishing ourselves. We are not going to go into that thinking of, oh, I did good all week, so now I deserve a treat. I love Melissa Urban, the founder of Whole30. She talks about that and she says, you don't deserve a treat. We're not a pet. a dog. You don't deserve a treat. You do something good and here's a cookie. No, instead we make very healthy, conscious decisions around our food. And in those conscious decision-making moments, that's when you decide what is worth it to you, and not from a scale or a number perspective, right? So this is where we get to kind of like retrain and recreate our relationship with food. And I will be posting kind of like a separate video of like my personal journey and story around food, my food obsessions and addictions, and how I found Whole30 and the impact that it had on me and my life, and actually how it got me to this moment as a coach in the fitness and health industry. Whole30 was very, very impactful and changed a lot of my thinking because I was very obsessed with the scale. I was always on one extreme to the next, binging or super diet, workout, and then I would give up and fall off, and then I would binge and eat all the cake, all the cookies, and all the things. And I would fluctuate in weight and, really my overall health. And so anyway, I'll save that for a separate video. But so this is what's exciting though, is we're eliminating these foods because Whole30 has come up with 4 good food standards. So what that is, and if you want to dive deeper into that, again, It Starts With Food is the book, or you can just look this up online, go onto Whole30's website, and it'll have more information for you there. But so the 4 good food standards are, you should be eating foods, and I'm going to read this directly from the book. You should be eating foods that, 1, promote a healthy psychological response. 2, promote a healthy hormonal response. 3, support a healthy gut. And then 4, support immune function and minimize inflammation. So these are all very basic. Sounds good, right? I want to eat food that supports and promotes healthy psychological responses, hormonal responses, my gut, and my immune system. That's wonderful. Sign me up, right? So this is what they have discovered from their research, that the foods that we are eliminating, those foods do not meet all 4 of these standards. So for example, like we're eliminating legumes. Maybe legumes hit 3 out of the 4 on the head. Maybe they support a good psychological response, a good, supportive gut response, and a good hormonal response. But maybe legumes does not support a healthy immune system. Maybe legumes does not support or minimize inflammation. So we take it out. We take it out for 30 days. Whole30 is like a fun, magical science experiment. And for me, when I came into Whole30, I had a lot of things going on and a lot of things that I was in denial over that I did not realize was coming from what I was eating. So we take it away for 30 days, okay? We are completely resetting our bodies, our gut, our immune system, any inflammation that we're having, silent inflammation. So many of us suffer from silent inflammation and we don't realize that. And then we're resetting our psychological response to our food. And now in the meantime, some other things happen as well, like our body composition changes. My first round of Whole30, I lost a significant amount of weight. I was 50, 60 pounds overweight, and I lost, I believe it was 15 pounds my first round. Now that is not, I'm not trying to put a number out there saying that that's normal. But for me, that was my experience. I really cleaned up how I was eating and I saw tremendous results. And I felt really good and I wasn't obsessing about the scale and that number. And I, for the first time, was really connected to what healthy was supposed to feel like. And that's what I hope to give you guys. So that is why we are eliminating these foods. Those foods do not meet all 4 of the good food standards. Take them away. So what do? At the end of 30 days, you're going to step back on that scale. Okay. And then we are going to reintroduce each food back in like a very controlled science experiment. So for example, on day 1, and we'll get more into the reintroduction as we move forward. But So on day one, just to give you an idea of like what we're working towards and why we want to really stick to Whole30, there's no cheats, there's no slips. You have to really be diligent about what we're doing and the choices we're making in our food and our prep. And that's why this group is so amazing, because you have support and community surrounding you all the time. So just constantly, just really being surrounded by Whole30 and set up for success. So on day one, we reintroduce, let's say, dairy. So you're going to reintroduce that on day one, and then for 2 days, you go back into Whole30 clean eating and you track your response. And now let me tell you that if after 30 days of, Whole30 clean eating, you drop in dairy or legumes or grains, whatever you start with, if you do have a response to that or a reaction, you will notice it like that. So for example, dairy for me immediately, talking within minutes, gives me a stomach ache. I feel very foggy and hazy. I actually get congested. Dairy lingers into the days after I eat it as well. So this is where it's important and why we go back to clean eating for a couple days, so we could see like, oh, well, how do I feel the day after? Because sometimes you don't always have that immediate response. But on day 2, I wake up and feel like a Mack truck has hit me, almost like I have a hangover. It's absolutely horrendous. And every once in a while, I still test the waters. Let's have ice cream. And then the next day, I'm like, why would I do that? That was awful. That was a horrible choice, because I suffer for probably a good 2 to 3 days when I eat dairy. So then on day 4, you take the next food. So now you introduce legumes. You go back to your clean eating, you track and journal what kind of response you're having. And this is where it's really key. So sometimes you don't have a physical response. You don't necessarily notice anything. For me, I noticed one of the things, and I use dairy as an example, because it really triggered some psychological responses that were not healthy and conducive to the life that I wanted to live. I've been introduced to a really clean, healthy way of eating, and I felt good. For the first time, I felt good, and I had a different awareness and connection to my body and my eating habits, and I wanted to continue on that journey. And so for me, dairy was a big one that really triggered some cravings. So it was like I would eat the dairy, whether it was cheese or milk or whatever it was, and for some reason, I would immediately go into this craving cycle of, oh, now I want some chips. Ooh, now I want some ice cream. Ooh, now I want something sweet. It was like interesting to watch like the psychological response unfold. So we really go deep into what kind of reactions we're having to the foods we're eating. So that is Whole30, what we're doing, why we're doing it, and then what that end goal looks like. So we really want to keep that in mind. So moving on to our prep. I just want to make sure that we've got a strong foundation there of what's going on. If we have any questions, let's definitely talk about it. If you need any help or direction about like what you can and can't have, little like ingredients and stuff, please always message on the group. So preparation, this is the exciting part. So we're starting. We have the weekend to prepare and get ready. I'm going to have you guys focus on our first step. This is the most important one, is getting our kitchen lined up, cleaned up, and prepared. So if you live by yourself, this will be so easy, okay? If you live with others, you're going to have to do some work. You're going to have to really communicate with the other people in your house. Maybe it's just you and your partner. Maybe it's you and you've got kids. Maybe you have roommates. Whatever your situation looks like, communication is really key if you have other people in the house. Just asking them like, hey, this is what I'm doing with my health right now. You don't have to necessarily do it with me, but this is what I'm doing. This is what I'm asking of you, and I just need your support. So step 1 is our kitchen prep. This is so imperative. I don't want anyone to walk into Whole30 without their kitchen prepared. And I'm not talking about just the food portion. I'm talking about the cleaning up portion. So I'll refer back to my first round of Whole30, because that was the first time, of course, really getting into, what this was all about and the preparation I did. So first you go in and you clean it up. The cupboards, the fridge, wherever you keep your food. If you have stuff like, like a little snack drawer, I have that in my house. You want to clean that up. Anything that is tempting, anything that is not Whole30 approved. So again, if you've got kids and, of course you need to accommodate for them, this is what I did on my very first round. I had all the kids, I had toddlers at the time. So, we had like little granola bars and, we would have cookies. We'd have like all this little like snacky stuff, right? And I am an addict to bites. I take bites everywhere, all the time. All of those bites add up to multiple additional meals throughout my day. And so what I did though was I took all of, the snack foods, all the kids stuff, and I put it in a drawer. Because here's the reality of that. I don't go into a drawer to cook anything. I don't keep spices in a drawer. I don't keep my oils in a drawer. I don't keep, fresh food in a drawer. I keep all of the food that I need to cook with in the fridge. And then I have like my spice cabinet. And that's it. And then of course, like your cupboard with any sort of like canned goods, anything like that you need. So what I was trying to do is create every space that I opened up was prepped with Whole30 items. And I wasn't staring at the Chips Ahoy or the Oreos or the ice cream or, insert whatever food might, make its way into your mouth when you're in this moment of weakness. So if you've got people that you share space with, maybe you just recreate or create a separate cupboard for them. Over here on the left is yours. Over here on the right is going to be all Whole30 compliant foods. So that way, when you're cooking throughout the day, you're prepping your foods, you've got everything ready, and same thing for the fridge. If you live with other people, then maybe you've got one shelf that's assigned for you. Or maybe you ask your family like, hey, this stuff is really tempting for me. Can we keep it in the back of the fridge so it's not the first thing that I see? You want to keep that in mind. Something else that Melissa did when she was doing Whole30 and creating it in the beginning, she has a little boy as well. She took like a big Tupperware tote container and she stuck all of her kids' like snacky foods in that and put a lid on it. And so it's just kind of like that idea of like out of sight, out of mind. Get creative, do what you need to do, but this is the most important thing. This is also why I like to allow 2 to 3 days to get prepped up so you can kind of piece it apart. First focus on that kitchen prep. Clean it out. Now, if you've got your spouse, partner, whatever, if you've got your whole family on board with you, ditch it all. There is no reason to hang on to a package of Oreos in hopes of eating it in 35 days. Get rid of it. Throw it all away. So that is our first step. Now, moving past that, once we've got that done, step 2, this is where we're going to come into like our meal planning and our shopping. So we are going to, and this is also another thing because this is such a valuable tool. You can get a meal plan anywhere. You can go online, type it in, 6-week meal plan for $19.99, and someone's going to spit out this little spreadsheet of what to eat, when to eat, and how to eat it. And that's it. What happens at the end of 6 weeks, none of that has transferred over to you. The tools, the habits, the work has not transferred over to you. All you're doing is eating exactly as said. So when it's over, you just go back to what you were doing before. Now, I'm speaking from experience. I've been there, done that. It was not a sustainable way of living. And, a lot of times the meal plans are too rigid. They're very cookie cutter. It's not a customized kind of meal plan. So what I love about Whole30 is I'm going to give you guidance. I'm going to give you tips. I'm going to give you recipes. I'm going to point you in the right direction, but I'm not going to do that work for you. That is for you to do, because at the end of this journey, I hope that you continue to take forward what you've learned, because in 30 days, you are going to work. You're going to make your meal plans. You're going to make shopping lists. You're going to go to the store. You're going to prep your food, and those habits are going to become embedded in you. So what we're going to do, step 2, is we're going to create the meal plans. I usually say for the first week, keep it short and simple. Plan out for the first 3 or 4 days. That's what we're going to focus on. We'll focus on creating meal plans for the first 3 to 4 days. You're going to write out a shopping list. You can order that online. You can go to the store, do whatever you do, but you're going to get the food. And that part is probably, a little bit easy. None of this is overwhelming, but for some of us, this can be very new and it can feel overwhelming. Some people, might already be in the habit of this, but this is something that we're going to do every single week. Every single weekend, we will be creating a little, meal plan, shopping list, and then we'll execute. So that's our step 2. what are we eating? What's the list? What are we buying from the store? And then step 3, we're going to pull the trigger. We're going to get the stuff from the store. And then we're going to come home and we're going to prep it. So we can go about this a couple different ways, which again is up to you and your individual lifestyle and what works. I've seen people kind of like do it one way, the other, and then combined. So I'll speak first on like creating some individualized meals. Some people like that, if you've got a job that you're leaving to go to and, you have to bring your lunch, or, maybe you work funky hours, you have to bring lunch and dinner, whatever it is, or, like, hey, I really struggle eating breakfast. It would be helpful if I had my breakfast already made in little individual containers that I can take with me. So you can do that. You can create little individualized meals to grab and go. Those are awesome. I don't do that. But that is definitely one option. Option 2, which I think is the easiest for most people, especially if you've got kids and, a partner and all this kind of stuff, is to create in bulk. So what that looks like is I strongly suggest having your protein options in the fridge, so your meats, as well as your vegetables, maybe fruit, although if you chop up fruit, it tends to go bad quicker than vegetables. But so you have your protein sources pre-cooked or pre-cut in the fridge, and then you've got your produce pre-cut in the fridge. So this is what we're going to do on Sunday. So first, clean out the kitchen. Tomorrow, Saturday, we, come up with the meals that we're going to eat for like 3 or 4 days. That's fairly simple. We're going to make the list and we're going to shop. Sunday, or maybe you shop Sunday morning. Sunday, you come home and you're going to prep. So the first time you prep, and if you're new to this is where it will take a little bit longer, in the kitchen, maybe an hour, maybe 2, depends on how deep you're getting into these recipes and what you're preparing. But what I suggest, and it's going to get easier and easier and easier. By the time you're done with Whole30, you're going to be like, oh, I got this. I could do this in my sleep. I know how to do this. I don't even need to make a list. I can go to the store, get this stuff, chop it up, and I'm done. But one of the biggest, most time-saving, practices that you can get into is this food prepping practice. So whatever vegetables you're buying, you chop them up. That's it. Chop them up, put them in your individual little containers, baggies, whatever, put them in the crisper. You're good. Why do you do that? Because Tuesday night when you get off work and you're like, oh my gosh, I don't even know what I'm eating, crap. I didn't plan for anything tonight. What am I going to do? You can be like, oh, I've got bell peppers cut up. There's chicken right here. Boom. Fajitas. Great. Easy, right? So this is the goal. So we prep up our veggies, spread it all out, chop it up, individualized containers, stick it in the fridge. Then moving on to your protein, I'll give some examples. So if I'm having an ultra good week and I've got things set up in my fridge the way that I love, this is what it would look like. I would have a container of turkey burger patties. I love turkey burgers. Not that I think that beef is bad because I do those as well, but turkey, I just love turkey. So I would have a container of pre-cooked turkey patties, cooked and ready to pull out and eat. I would have a pot of chicken that I would just, crock pot. So I do that on a Sunday, throw all my chicken in, some light seasoning. At the end of the day, I take it out, I shred it up, I put it in a bowl and put it in the fridge. I would have a bowl of hard-boiled eggs. And then I usually keep 2 other meat options that are quick cooks. So a sausage, and then usually some sort of deli meat. I love turkey. So, those would be my other go-tos because they're quick, easy meals. So that right there, I think I just named off 4 different protein sources. You can throw ground beef in there. Maybe you cook up some ground beef, put it in a big bowl. Maybe you have some steak that you have, pre-cut, sliced, ready to cook, whatever that looks like for you. But that's usually my go-to. And then I can add things in throughout the week if I want to buy something extra and special. Otherwise though, and why do you do this? Because again, you come home and a lot of times you're hungry. You want food. What do? We go into the cupboard and we grab the stuff that isn't necessarily meeting those 4 good food standards, right? So we want to have everything in the fridge ready to grab, to prepare, to eat. If you need breakfast really quick, you need lunch, you need dinner, whatever it is, you've got choices. And especially in those moments, and they happen more often than you realize, where you're hungry, you're angry, you're irritated, you're cranky, you're tired, whatever's going on. So often we turn to food, and this is where you're really going to see some of those habits highlighted, and you're going to realize like, whoa. So that is what our prep is going to look like. Maybe option 3, you want to do a combined kind of prep. Maybe you're like, I would love to have some salads pre-made in the fridge for the week. You have those done. Maybe you like line up 5 individual salad containers with your, everything all set up. And then you have some bulk items, veggies pre-cut, your produce, everything like that in your crispers ready to go. And then you've got some meat options ready to go. I also suggest light seasoning when you're cooking in bulk, and here's why. So like if I do a crock pot of chicken, I probably do like salt, pepper, and maybe like lemon pepper and garlic. Very easy, very neutral. So then if Tuesday night I decide like, oh, hey, I'm gonna make fajitas, I can add fajita seasoning to it. Or, hey, I'm gonna make like a Chinese chicken salad, then I can add some coconut aminos to it. But I keep my seasoning pretty neutral, so it tastes good, but I can go any direction I want with it, if that makes sense. So that is what our prep looks like. Hopefully all of that makes sense. We follow that. So again, I'm just gonna go over those 3 really quick. Our prep 1, get your kitchen ready. Clean it out, gut it out, get it ready. Step 2, we're gonna make our meals, our meal list, our shopping list, and then we're gonna shop. Step 3, we're going to prep. We're going to prep the food in the kitchen, okay? We're gonna put in the work this weekend. So excited. All right, so I think I covered everything. Stay tuned for all the information to come. As I post our PDF files, some of it will be the same as some things that you have in your journal that you'll be receiving on Monday. But I just want you guys to kind of like get a feel of like what those non-scale victories look like. I also like to post our shopping list. Like if you like, to have like a shopping list to go off of, things like that you can actually see and use and just get a better idea, of like what prep looks like. So, and then also I'll be sharing more tips, more meal ideas, recipes, a lot of other things to go with our preparation weekend. But I wanted to touch base, just go over our foundations, go over our preparation, and say that I am so excited to get started with you guys. All right.